Already. So LCA is doing some work here at Cota Field in Starksboro and also down in Ferrisburgh to manage Japanese knotweed. We started this project because we had a couple of landowners, especially in Ferrisburgh, who were really concerned with knotweed on their properties right along the creek and wanted to do some management but didn't want to use herbicide and were concerned about using herbicide right along the creek. So we reached out and consulted with Mike Bald, who does this type of management for his work, for his business, and worked with him through a grant from the Lake Champlain Basin Program and NEIWPCC to sort of do some demonstration management sites here in the Lewis Creek watershed. We're also doing some mapping of knotweed distribution in the watershed using iNaturalist and community scientists to snap photos and tell us where the knotweed is. So the idea here is that we're doing long-term management. This is not a quick process to control Japanese knotweed. It's probably a 10 to 15 year process really to make sure that it doesn't come back in these patches. But the idea is to stress the Japanese knotweed so that it can't take the energy from photosynthesis and send it back to its roots or its rhizomes underground. So that as we stress it continually by plucking the green that comes up, eventually it will sort of constrict and not be able to spread further underground or rhizomally. So we have a management plan online for 3 sites. So it's Cota Field in Starksboro, in Ferrisburgh, and then also a patch at Common Ground Center in Starksboro. And we hope to continue management at these 3 sites over the next decade or more, probably. We have a couple of technicians oftentimes from UVM or local students every year who come out and perform most of the management for us, but we're hopeful that over time we'll be able to sort of transition some of that management over to local groups, citizens, people who live nearby who are willing to help out and do some weekly sort of snipping or pulling of knotweed stems. So knotweed was, introduced back in the late 1800s from Asia. It's ornamental and used to stabilize sort of loose soils, places that were eroding. Unfortunately, when it gets on stream banks, it can spread with any little bit of rhizome that washes downstream in a flood, spreads, makes a new plant. And it doesn't really do a good job stabilizing stream banks. It sort of excludes other vegetation. It can even cause more erosion of the stream banks. So, we're trying to understand where it is in the Lewis Creek watershed, so you can help with that using our iNaturalist project. And we're also trying to show the demonstration at these demonstration sites how to manage it without using herbicide. You can go to our website to learn a little bit more about the management plan, to download that, or how to use iNaturalist. There's some photos for identification purposes about knotweed on there as well. And I think that's it for now. I'll turn it over to Mike, and maybe he wants to say a few things about his experience managing knotweed, just using manual methods, no chemicals.
Thanks, Kate. It's just a patience. It's a triathlon. It's not a triathlon. It's a marathon. But it is that way regardless of your methods. So having interns, community members, volunteers get engaged and get connected is really critical, because you're trying to build this kind of long-term connection and continuity as part of the stewardship. That's critical. Without that, you don't have stewardship, my opinion. So regardless of your method, you're going to be there for the long haul. The species is perfectly adapted to what it gets thrown into, but the idea is deny photosynthesis. And I thought that was an excellent summary there from Kate. The only thing I would add is that we try to avoid soil disturbance if we can. Some sites are very sensitive to that. A gravel bar is a transitional site, so you don't have to worry so much about disturbing a gravel bar. It's already, it moves over time downstream. You're not going to cause erosion necessarily automatically on a gravel bar. But the idea is just, without causing more disturbance, just continue the stress and deny photosynthesis. The only thing I would add is that Japanese knotweed changes over time. It tries to outrun us, or it tries to outsmart us. And it goes from being tall and bamboo cane looking 10 feet tall to now it's like, okay, now I have to hide, and it'll actually just, once it loses in a couple of years its stem strength, it'll just kind of flop onto the ground and just be perfectly happy to crawl along the ground, still put up leaves, but try not to draw attention to itself. And it won't be green so much, it'll go to that kind of reddish, stressed. So you've got some great photos there where we think of tall and green and bushy, dense, but it becomes dispersed and reddish and tiny and, I don't want to say weak, but very, very much stressed and impacted. So we just have to adapt with that and go, and that's why continuity and kind of just diving into it and getting to understand the species is so important.